Learn Zohar. Michael-ben-Pesach, Portnaar. Part 2. Lesson 14. And we continue. Please refer to the materials for the text in Hebrew. When I see people are still coming, some come once and then I don't see them for a while, and that's okay too. It gives enormous strength, yet I see there's a desire in the person, a desire to concur himself, a deep desire for a better world. It isn't easy to work on yourself. To work on ourselves, especially if bad things are revealed within us. Our ego, our intellect. Every minute our intellect wants to withhold you from coming closer to your higher self. And that's what I mean if I say a person has to concur with himself or has to bear it. The ego tells you it is hard work, therefore take some rest. You need rest and you need to slow down. And this you have to concur. In the beginning it seems exhausting, but when you continue, know that the other side will exhaust itself. It is written in the Talmud, men need to work constantly on himself till he comes to the point his yetzer hara, his bad beginning, begins to love him. He has to come to the point the angel of death will love him. Can you imagine the angel of death? What is the angel of death? This is strength that brought death here on earth by way of the sins of men. And at the end, he will transform into the angel of life. Isn't that beautiful? Don't have the idea something wrong is created. Actually, eventually nothing is wrong. The more you overcome yourself, and it doesn't matter where you are, and each of us has their way, the more you overcome, the more the yetzer hara will help you. Of course, the yetzer hara tries to bring you to another pathway, but the only reason he has is to bring you to change, that you will have the change to concur with him. Not to destroy him, absolutely not. What you have to do is to go beyond your understanding. No, the yetzer hara makes use of your intellect, of your brains. It is your intellect that says, why should I do this? Act normal. And don't think the yetzer hara only does this once a week. It works with you every day, every hour, and every minute, even when you are asleep. Each day is different, and you are different. Therefore, you have to give new efforts to make something work. When I talk about the angel of death, I mean all the dead wishes within you, and there is only one way to bring them to life. You have to go beyond your intellect. You need to say to the earthly intellect, no discussions anymore, because the snake is always right. You should never try to deal with your bad inclination intellectually. He will disguise himself as a saint. He will tell you morals. He will say, it is not moralistic. Is it not? He's going to put forward all kinds of wonderful arguments to get you off. And his reasoning is great, so well constructed as he can do it. The bad inclination is the master of rhetoric. A while ago, I tried to convince my Orthodox brothers to go beyond their intellect. They're living under the intellect, and I couldn't because they are much stronger than me. Notice that every Orthodox has stronger arguments than you have. They are stronger than me, but their arguments kill me. Can you argue with death? All their arguments come from the intellectual. They are beautiful, moralistic, but there is no life in it. From within, I receive the message to avoid their discussions. From within, because I choose to live. Notice that it is the same for you, because the religious person, see it this way, the religious person is also within you, and that is the person who goes under the intellect. All forces are within you. Don't say one group is better or worse. When I talk about religious people, know that I mean the religious people within you. How to translate this into strength? He who is working on himself and who are reading this, you are working on yourself. Therefore, try to see the world as one area. What is the meaning of all the forces within me? Within me I have strength to strive for one thing, namely the laws of the universe, of the Creator. But I also have strength to strive for other things, to be part of something, and ignore the individual part. With the individual part, I mean the work I do for and with the Creator. All other feelings that aren't corrected, for instance, the religious person within me, and not the religious person around me. You have to know it is easier to project them outside. When I use the word orthodox, remember that I'm talking about the orthodox person within me. The orthodox within you withholds you from bringing everything to one area. All you work is to bring it to one creating strength, because that will help. And via the Zohar, you receive help. We now start with the Zohar. Last time I talked about stained or unblemished at some point. I didn't know why. Now I saw why I talked about it. It was the last paragraph of Zohar's. It just occurred to me, and I didn't know how it came to me. It does not matter. It's not mine. And these 5 lights, the Torah uses 5 times the word light. The wise said, the light that created the Creator on the first day. Adam could see in that light from one end to the other end. He had no veils, no mist, because he hadn't sinned, therefore his awareness was still intact. And the Creator saw in his plan that in the generation of the inundation and in the generation of Babylon, he looked at them and saw that they would damage by their actions. Because of their actions, they would harm themselves. The Creator saw this even before he created man. Already the first day of creation, he saw that the generation of the flood and the generation of Babylon would sin. Of course, later generations would continue with the sin, but that isn't mentioned. He, the Creator, stood up and he hid the light from them. What does this mean? The Creator already knew man would sin. Here, we see the Creator already saw that man would sin and that he would try to clean himself. In a way, all of what we see and talk about is programmed already within man. Therefore, it is impossible. It is impossible for man that man would be clean from the moment he's born, because that wasn't his intention. The creation is so programmed that man would sin, and after his sin, he would do repentance. Why? Only this way man can return in a conscious way to the light. Therefore, all the misery is necessary. Whatever the misery, know it is always positive and constructive. It wasn't his intention that you should stay naive. The whole meaning of all the ascending and descending man has to go through is only for one reason, to bring you closer to the Creator. It is etched in the program the Creator made for us, and we wouldn't be angels, so that we wouldn't be angels and pure. There was only one man who was born pure but not perfect, and that was Adam. Why is he the only one? He had work to do in Gan Eden, and with work we mean he had to correct himself to free himself of the impure strengths that were also within him. The Torah speaks about Adam as a gardener, meaning his work was to free himself from the impure strength. We know that the moment he was born, he was already perfect for one half, but the Creator forbade him to bring the light further down, to bring the light under his middle. Under the middle there is asiyah, even within man. Under the middle of man there are strengths of asiyah. Not the organs, but you have to know that everything is connected. The Creator forbade him to bring the light further down even when he had contact with his wife Hava. They had to do it another way, and of course they did it the same way as we do, but their intention had to be different. Hava is the Hebrew name for Eve, and it is far better to use the Hebrew because the strength is hidden in the Hebrew names. Hava is the strength of Chaya, the living strength. So both had to give effort to bring the strengths that were under their middle to above. Can you understand this? The answer of one of the students was no. It is good if you lack the understanding. It is the same as we do in our prayers, requests, man. In a correction, you need to bring all the strength to above the middle. When you're reading this, try to ignore your intellect and give the Zohar the chance to explain. They had to bring the strength to above, and only then they could have intercourse. Only this way it wasn't in their interest. Now, what was the sin of Adam? His sin was that he attracted the light Chokhmah to below, and below he had intercourse with his wife, while it was the intention of the Creator that first he should bring it to above, and then make use of the physical organs. Remember, bringing down the light Chokhmah to under the middle is the true sin, but more about this later. The meaning is that first you have to bring your strength to above your middle, and this is your prayer, your requests, or in other words, man. There has to be a reaction between your left and right lines. And when there is a proper reaction, you can play with your body. Because of this proper reaction, a new part of the body will be created. And in this case, it means there will be created within the upper part of the body, the middle line. This weakens the left and right sides, Hasidim, and within Hasidim is Chokhmah, the number 13. This can be brought down. Are you still reading this? No, this is the way the Creator has created us. And here lies the kosher receiving. The sin of Adam was that he brought down the light directly via the left line. The Zohar gives a very good explanation that will save us. What I wanted to tell you the last time was that no man was, is, or will ever been born pure, because the Creator already knew that the generation of the water flood would sin, and more in the next generations. What you see in religion is that they have made for man a perfect image. For them it was imaginable that only the Creator was whole and perfect, and of course that is understandable, because their reason is to bring God closer to man, so he had to be pure and whole also. But the whole meaning is that man has to step out of his impure situation and come to his own fulfillment. Is it possible to give a description of this? Is it possible to give good examples? Till the eve of the arrival of the Messiah, the Mashiach, what is the meaning of fulfillment? What is the meaning of having done all the correction? How does the inner look before any correction? Never there has been a man who was pure and whole. Of course there is Abraham and others, but know that all of them did a lot of corrections, one more than the other, because what is the reason why we are here? What is our task here on earth? One couldn't tell this man. And even nowadays it is difficult to explain. But you who are reading this are ready to hear these words. All of us are impure, are dirty, just as the clothes we are wearing, and need to be washed. Just as we have to wash ourselves every day, so too we have to wash our inner. Some stains are hard to be cleaned, and some can't be cleaned. But the thing is, you are trying to clean your clothes, to clean your wishes, and some stains can't be washed away, and that's good too, because when the Mashiach comes, know his highlight will be so strong everything will be cleaned. Our task is to wash and clean all what is possible and what can't be done. The dress is clean, but still there is a spot, so what? It is impossible for man to clean himself completely. This is only can be done with the arrival of the Messiah, the Mashiach. Why? Only then death will disappear. What do we mean with death? Death is that little stain, what is still visible. It is clean, but still there is a spot. And this is good, so you never will think that you are ready. In Zohar, we will learn that no man dies before he has seen Adam. Adam is a gatekeeper and stands at the gates of Gan Eden, the paradise, and all of us have to pass him. The moment a person dies, his soul leaves his body and goes his way to the paradise. Last time I spoke over these impure conditions, but in truth, It is good that we are impure, because now we have work to do. Short, this is what I tried to tell you. Remember, I never talk about religion. This is all within you. I have to make this clear so that none of you would think I am attacking someone, God forbid. Who's attacking me? That are my brothers within me. From the outside there's peace. I can't talk with the outer brothers, the Orthodox brothers, meaning them who are living in the material world. They learn Torah, but how? I don't talk about the material. Within me I have wishes that are as stubborn as my people, from the outside. Bring it all back to yourself. That will help you. I also told in the former lesson that each one of us has to look for his or her own partner. The problem is that when somebody just starts reading the scriptures on the website, he takes all my words literally. It is understandable he thinks that I'm talking about this world, but I never speak about this world. I use words and for instances of this world, but I'm not talking about this world. Place this deep in your heart. If you hear me talking about, for instance, Madonna, don't think of the material Madonna, but about the Madonna that's within you. If I talk about my Orthodox brothers, no, I'm talking about the persons living here in this material world. I always talk about strengths. When I mention religion, religious people, I mean all the beings who don't work on themselves or at themselves. They are still walking on one leg. They shout or sing Hare Krishna or whatever. They lack 2 legs. Don't we all have 2 feet? We are created to use these 2 feet. There is the left side, our brain, and the intellect, and there's the right side, our heart. Both are needed. When I say to you that you need to find your partner, I'm not talking about a physical partner, but the partner within. Place this in your heart. I never talk about beings or persons living here in the material world. The method is important. This you need to know. And remember, in all the reading you do, otherwise you will get lost. You have to find your partner within you. There you can find your partner. Of course, it is possible you find a material partner, but that is not our task. Your task is to find the partner within you, and as a consequence, you will find a partner in the outer world too, because as long you don't recognize the partner within you, the outer partner won't appear. The outer partner is a mirror from your root, from your soul. A soul has 2 parts. The whole meaning is that you will find while you are walking in this material world your inner partner, meaning the male and female part within you. That is the human being. When the outer part presents himself to you, that's a nice gift. But if it not happen, it is as it is. Forget what religion tells you, that you need a partner. That is all nonsense. I have no interest in someone if he's married or not. Sometimes it happens that a student asks me childish questions. I don't blame him. The snake is still working within him, or with him, and when the snake is working with the person, he can ask things as, okay, I understand the root of a soul has 2 sides, the male and the female, but how is it possible that a man loves a man and a woman loves a woman? I'm going to try to give you an answer so you will understand it once and for all. Religion doesn't understand this. It is written, a man may not lay down next to another man. In earlier days, they couldn't understand this, and they have even killed man because of this. But has something changed? Even today they forbid it because still there is no understanding of the Torah. All the things they read, still it is literal for them. For example, where is heaven? What do? They point with their finger to the sky. Still there is no understanding. Don't think only Catholic people are that stupid. Even my Orthodox brothers think the same way as the Catholic people. All lack the divine logic. Are they to blame? Of course not. They only use their earthly logic. I can explain it to you in simple words. The Creator has nothing to do with our bodies. He only interferes with the soul of the human beings. Every soul of man, and it doesn't matter if he is gay or here too or whatever, because the root of every soul has the male and female. It can happen because of a correction, because of the fulfilling of a soul, that the male part of a soul comes in the body of a woman. But it is the Creator who decides this. There is a male part and there is a female part in the soul. The male part ascends in a male body. But it can happen, and it is the Creator Himself who decides this because He knows what's best for the soul, for His correction to come in a female body, to give a soul a change to do some correction so he can move forwards, and with the help of this combination, he can optimize his correction. That is what I learned in Kabbalah. Ari in the Zohar, I had same thoughts, but you have to know it is also a culture thing. But it isn't culture. We are talking about the laws of the universe. Religions still talk with their intellect. Of course, it is also possible for a female part of a soul to come in a male body for the same reason, to do corrections. Who knows what's next? Maybe the male soul that was now in a female body enters a male body. Who knows? Remember, from above, they only give you what is needed for the development of your soul. Therefore, this subject isn't important for us. From above it is decided what you need, and these words come from the deepest of the Zohar. With no words he speaks about this. What exists is, no matter how the relation is built up, man with a woman, or man with a man, or a woman with a woman, if it is only for the physical pleasure, it is wrong. The relationships between the genders aren't important. That's not the subject. The thing is, if there's only the physical pleasure, the fun, etc., if there's no relationship with above, that is wrong. But if a woman desires another woman, a man desires another man, or a man desires his woman, and there's a feeling that's higher, no one can judge about this. I'm not ventilating my opinion. I have no opinion. I only speak words coming from the Torah. You can ask my brothers and look what answer they will give because they absolutely lack the understanding. All what they do is comedy, and meanwhile they play with each other. I say to you, it is all okay, but remember, don't play because when you are throwing away yourself, your strengths, it is important that you are sincere, genuine with your partner, and what gender the partner has, it doesn't matter. What matters is your sincerity. Understood? I have never spoken about this because we aren't talking about the physical material world. We're talking about souls. And when souls are made for each other, this will be the only time I speak about this, because in a way it is all arranged from above. And remember, we are talking about souls and not about physicality. Now we continue with the Zohar. This is what is written. And the light, 5 Hasidim, are collected in the covenant. The word light is mentioned 5 times in the Torah, and the light is embedded in Brit, in this covenant. A lot will happen as we continue. The Brit enters in the lily. It is to say, these are 5 Hasidim. 5 lights have entered the Shoshana, or Nukwa, 2 words for the same. Nukwa did ascend 5 Gurot. She reflected the Gurot, therefore 5 Hasidim, or the male light, could enter. First, they were embedded in the Yesod of the Zeir Anpin. Yesod is the 9th Sphira, and what goes to Malchut has to pass first Yesod. In the human body, there is also a place we can experience from within, the place of the sexual organs. For a human being, it is also the beginning. It all starts with Yesod. All the lights didn't come directly from Binah to Nukva. What is the difference, or what is the distance? Binah, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut. Zeir Anpin has 6 Sfirot, 5 Sfirot of her own, 5 Hasidim of Ze'ah, Hesed, Gura, Tiferet, Netzach, and Hod. And there is a 6th, which is the Sfirot that gathers. Yesod is the entering place of anything, and from him it goes to the Malchut. Just as we can see in this world, when a man and a woman come together and have intercourse, a child can be born. The same we see here in the spiritual. Here he tells us that 5 Hasidim don't come directly from Binah to Nukva. First, they arrive in Yesod. Binah is named Elokim, so it doesn't come from Elokim to the Nukva. First, it goes to the Brit, to the covenant. What is the covenant between the Creator and His chosen nation? This is the covenant. It is the covenant of Yesod. Only from Yesod you can know the Creator. No, you can see why religion doesn't help. Religion can't tell anything about the Creator because they neglect the Yesod. The moment you experience the strength of the Yesod, and this strength is translated in our world as the sexual strength, but it is the creating strength within Yesod. In a way, all the strengths within us, and even the strengths of the higher, of the world Atzilut, are bundled to pass it on to the Malchut. The difference is we learn here in Kabbalah to be genuine and sincere when we touch our Yesod. And it is needed to touch the Yesod because then we have 9 Sfirot and Yesod is the strongest. Here we can reflect the light, or Hoser. The deeper you can enter yourself, the more strength you will have for your request, meaning now you can reflect the light from the deepest point, and this will cause more receiving. Yesod is very important because if you can do your man from Yesod, you have the opportunity to know the Creator, meaning you will receive the highest comprehension possible. All the rescue comes from this point. The rescue lies in the number 13. I have never found this only here in Kabbalah, 13 qualities of mercy. Hasidim, but first I have to work on myself, otherwise I can't receive the Hasidim. The first phase is the number 10, and when I go deeper, meaning the Chokhmah, wisdom, can enter the Hasidim, I have the number 13. But later, more about this. Let me do the talking. Now the Zohar is teaching us that the light of Binah doesn't go directly to Nukwa, but first it goes to Yesod. And the covenant in the Torah, you see the word Brit, is the Yesod of Zeir Anpin. We know what and where the Yesod is within man. Man has to be very careful with his Yesod. It is extremely important. Yesod enters the Shoshana, or Nukwa, and gives them the 5 lights at Nukwa. And the meaning will be explained later. Don't think it is difficult. It is only another way of logic. Don't try to understand with your head. It has to come within you. Take it in, and slowly the Zohar will penetrate you. In our generation, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Each one of us can receive the highest of the highest. The gender doesn't matter. See, there are 5 Hasidim, lights of mercy, that appeared over the 5 Gorot, as it is said above. 5 Gorot ascended, or Hoser, and the light Hasidim entered. They are named seed. Why do they have the name seed? It is written in the Torah, the Creator created seed-bearing crops. The inner, secret Torah tells us what he's talking about. 5 Hasidim entered the 5 Gorot. This is the seed. 5 Gorot ascended, and in them entered the 5 Hasidim. This is the seed he's talking about. Simple, read the words. The understanding will come later. Only see the words of 5 Hasidim and don't ask questions. The Zohar will explain this to us. There are 5 Hasidim and 5 Gorot, and together it is named seed. The strength of Din and Gorot. Gorot is another word for Din, but only the 5 strengths of Malchut are named Gorot. Are in the Masach, in the screen. Only when there is a screen, something can be received. That from this strength comes a blow. In a way, the light hits the Masach, and the Masach reflects the light. The reflecting the light has the strength to let come in the light that he let come in. There is a good example for this world. The first time a man, there's a good example for this in our world. The first time a man and a woman see each other, he has interest for her and like to talk with her. But see, She isn't interested. What does she do? From within she makes a screen, meaning she ignores him. She uses her resistance, the masach, to push him away. But if she sees another guy she's interested in, then there's no masach, no pushing away. But she reflects the light. She will react. You can see this is a game. A man tries to seduce her, but she pushes him away. With seducing, I mean he gives her attention, light, and it is up to her what she will do with the light. Will she reflect the light or pushes it away? Will she reflect the light and pushes it away? The light, the affections of the man, will she push them away? The same process is in the spiritual between Ze'ah and Malchut. He says the strength of the masach, of the screen, hits the highlight. In the example of the woman, it is her strengths that hit his attention, meaning she ignores, pushes, and it returns to him, meaning she ignores, pushes away his attention. See, this strength is only in the Ateret Yisod of Zeir Anpin. In these words lies a deep secret. This has never been revealed to the public. To penetrate this secret, a special attitude is necessary. Don't think you have to be a genius to understand this contrary. Important is that you make yourself weak or soft from within, so the light can make engravings within you, can penetrate you. In this way we see something new, namely, not the Malchut or Nukva has the Masach, as is said before. Now we see something new, and gradually he will give us new things. The second part of the Yesod is named the crown of Yesod, Ateret Yesod in Hebrew, of the Ze'ah, which has the strength to push away. Not the Nukwa has the Masach, but the lowest part of the Yesod reflects the light and receives the light from Binah, who is above him. Only when there is Zivug, the light can be received. When there's no Zivug, there is no light. Remember, the man and the woman. A man can do anything, but as long as the woman pushes him away, he can't make contact with her. Now he is teaching us that the lower part of Yesod has within him the same strength as Nukva. You could say that Yesod makes within him Zivuk, within his own Yesod. It all happens here in Yesod and not in Nukva. It is the last part of Yesod that pushes away and receives the 5 Hasidim. And when this had happened, he can pass it on to Nukva. You can see this in nature, for example, when a bird feeds her chickens. First, she puts it in her own mouth, chews it, and gives it to her chicks. The same with Yesod and Nukva. The male has the strength of Gvorot and Hasidim. This way man can completely become independent from a woman, or can be independent from a woman. It is written in the Torah in Genesis, it isn't good for a man to be alone, but nowhere is it written he has to marry. It isn't necessarily to marry. How come? Everything needs to be authentic. Ze'ah has to be authentic in his own Yesod, meaning he has to chew first and then he can give it to the Nukva. A few lessons before, we have learned that Ze'ah gives the light, Hasidim, and Nukva reflects the 5 tough leaves. And this is correct too. But we see in addition, namely that Yesod of Ze'ah has 2 strengths. We can say in the right side he has the higher Yesod, just as Chesed and Gvura. And in his left is the Gvorot of the Yesod. Yesod has 2 sides. In the right there is the Yesod with the strength of Hasidim, and in the left is the Yesod with the strength of Gvorot. We can replace these words with high and low, what we speak about, left and right, because of the strength of Hasidim. Therefore we talk about right and left. When we speak about the strength of Chokhmah, we use the words above and below. Now, as I said, the Yesod of Zeir Anpin has 2 strengths. In the right, Hasidim, and the Hasidim wants to penetrate in the left side of Yesod. In the left, there is the Gvorot, and she wants to reflect the light of Yesod. Yesod has these 2 strengths, left and right, within him, and his left side reflects the light of right within him. How come? Now he can first receive the light within him, and after the receiving, he can pass it on to the Malchut, because Malchut, Nukva, is not complete here in the world absolute, only because of the roughening of strengths, the coarsening. First, there is the need for roughening in the Yesod of the Zeir Anpin, because it can be given to a lower step. He teaches us the strength of the Masach is here within the Ateret Yesod, the second strength in the lowest part of Yesod. Be patient. It is okay if there is no understanding. Later you will have more feeling for this. I could explain more, but if there is no understanding, what does man do? He starts laughing. Don't think laughter is bad, but if there is no understanding, man starts to laugh. Why is in this case laughter no good? With laughter, all the misery finds a way to the outer. Man needs to laugh to forget all his misery. To have a smile is much better meaning. There is more chasadim than gvorot. When there's a smile, it means that you have conquered yourself a little. Take, for instance, the old philosophers. Voltaire, he could smile. He was a little bit skeptic. I have read Candide, a great story, but with a smile. There's no reason for laughter. Laughter is with them who are still uncorrected. Laughter means he touches his problems, but he can't go lower to his Yesod. When someone has come to his Yesod, he will smile. Yesod is so great. I have to be careful with my words considering Yesod because it isn't easy to understand how it all works. It is with Yesod that each one of us can build up his relation with the Creator, not by way of religion or whatever, only here in the Yesod. That's why I'm so careful. What is written about Yesod? Here is the covenant, the Brit Milah, circumcision. Don't think it has something to do with the physical body or the material. The Creator made a covenant with His people, with man. If you aren't a Jew, forget all about this. The problem is, the moment someone hears the word circumcision, he thinks about the physical world, and it isn't. Each one of you will experience sooner or later the inner circumcision in his Yesod. And when that moment is there, he will be the most perfect Jew. But the outer Jew who is circumcised and doesn't experience his Yesod is as a child. The Creator will see him as a child. He has to endure a lot of misery before he can feel Yesod. What is Brit Milah? Brit Milah, Brit is the covenant, and Milah is the circumcision. There is also another meaning of Milah, namely word. The covenant of words. So there is the covenant of the circumcision and the covenant of words. Two different things. Gradually you will come to a deeper understanding and experience of the Yesod. Even the woman who are reading this. All the words I speak are needed. I feel there is a pushing within me to overload you with my pushing. All I say to you is only my reaction upon you. There is more than only to pass on the material. The pushing is necessary also. Don't think I push the outer. I push the inner because I have no interest for your outer. It is the inner being I push, so there can be a reaction. Question from a student. But doesn't this make you the man in the example where the woman pushes away? The thing is, your inner has a desire to hear this. From within, we are all connected, but each soul has a specific color. I can't tell you why I'm doing this. It is as it is. My pushing is as making engravings. Don't resist my words because the resistance comes from the outer. Your inner longs for it. It wasn't my intention to teach the Zohar, but I have to listen to what is revealed to me. I can't ignore this. Make yourself receptive. Each one of you can experience it. Now let's return to Yesod. As I said before, the Yesod has two parts, the lower and the higher part. Later, when the laughter is gone, I can go deeper, considering the word circumcision. But for now, there is the comparison with the flesh, and one thinks at the phallus. But Ateret Yesod means the crown of Yesod. Later, we will learn the deeper meaning of this. In the earlier days, it was necessarily that man did the circumcision, but nowadays, there is no restrictions to enter the spiritual. All I tell you is spiritual. There's not one word about the flesh, but the example is of the flesh, but it isn't about the flesh. Place this deep in your heart. As long as a man isn't circumcised, the Yesod is covered. Again, as long as a man isn't circumcised, the Yesod is covered. He can't receive the light of the Creator. A Jewish boy is circumcised after a few days after his birth, so every Jewish man, his crown is visible, isn't covered anymore, meaning he's ready to receive the light. What the connection is with the flesh, we don't know, but you have to know that the body can escape from this place. Not even a Jew who is circumcised. One has to come to the experience of what Yesod is from within. Only from within you can make contact with the Creator. It was given to this nation to take away that little piece of flesh, but others have followed this. For instance, Muslims do the same. The age may differ, but what the corresponding aspect is that they all lack the deeper understanding of what they are doing. Only when you experience your Yesod from within, you can come to the personal relation with the Creator. If you think it is about the flesh, what to think about women? Women have to be careful also with their Yesod. Why? It is spiritual. How can you build up your personal relation with the Creator? Pay attention on your Yesod. Pay attention on your Yesod. Take down all your strengths. And when you experience your Yesod, you can experience the light. Come to your lowest point, and you will see the highest. This is only lesson 14, and yet we're talking about the highest spiritual aspect, namely Yesod. With your Yesod, you can experience the highs and lows, and because of that, you build up the personal relation with the Creator. Do they talk about this in the world? I don't think so. What do they say? Man isn't ready. They say, and they treat them as children. In religion, they avoid this place, but never. There is any other way to come to your fulfillment, other than by experiencing your Yesod. Work with your Yesod, and from your Yesod you can give at your Malchut. All what is unclean, you can make it clean with your Yesod. The strength of Yesod is now available for your Malchut, and there are the stains we are talking about. Of course, a stain will stay behind, but the majority will be washed away. On the one hand, I want to make the drawing, but on the other hand, I want you to feel your Yesod. Listen carefully. Read several times this lesson so you can feel what I'm talking about. I can't draw on the board. Yesod is within you. It is the last station the light can come. The Ateret Yesod, or the crown of Yesod. And remember, not only men have a crown, for women it is the same. It is spiritual, remember. The first 9 Sfirot are the qualities of the light, of the Creator. Malchut is the most difficult one. Via Yesod, via Ateret Yesod, the light goes to Malchut. This way, the 9 Sfirot of the Malchut may be highlighted. And the last, the Malchut of Malchut, here are the most stubborn stains. Till the arrival of the Messiah, the Mashiach, it can't be cleaned. Our task is to correct ourselves completely, but one stain will still be there. Still there is the existence of death. Death will disappear after the arrival of the Messiah, meaning the last stain will be cleaned. So far I didn't talk about the Yesod within man. I talked about the Yesod of Ze'ah, Zerampin, coming from the world Atzilut, because all the corrections come from this point. All the light comes from this point. Of course, there are other worlds, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, and all these worlds are within you. So these worlds are the blueprint, only their quality is a little bit lower. How about the Yesod within women? Now you know, I'm not talking about the flesh. A Kabbalist knows the laws of the universe. He knows Ze'ah, Zerampin. He knows about the operational system. And once you know this, you know what is meant with Yesod. With Malchut as above, so below. When you know how women function, you know how you function and you can work on yourself. Not with religion. Religious ideas don't tell you what to do. See the agreement with the laws of the universe and you will know. There is no follow me in Kabbalah. There's only follow yourself. He pulls them the 5 Hasidim. Mazal is a Hebrew word, what is often used here in Amsterdam. The meaning is happiness, lucky, or something like that. But mazal also has the meaning of he who uses stars, the zodiac. And here we see another use of the word, namely that everything is connected with another. The 5 Hasidim are drawn from the word mazal. Mazal is another word for yesod, only on a higher level, at the top of a partzuf. As you already know, everything has 10 sfirot. In the head there is yesod, in the body is yesod, and below there is yesod. Keter, Chokmah, Binah are the head, and somewhere hidden is yesod. Keter, Chokmah, Binah, 10 or 5 sfirot. If there is no remembrance, search for the answer in the other ebooks. The place of zivug is the place where yesod is, because yesod is the place where the light can be reflected. When you see a man that kisses a woman, remember their lips are in agreement with the mouth, and the mouth is the last part of the head, spiritual. There is Keter, Chokhmah, Binah, and the mouth is Malchut, or the Ateret Yesod of Binah, and here we see Zivug also. When a man kisses a woman, this is Zivug, too, a spiritual Zivug. When there's a Zivug on the level of sexual organs, then we talk about the Yesod of the Yesod, but not about the Yesod in the head, not about the general Yesod of all 10 Sfirot. In general, there is Yesod if we talk about 10 Sfirot. This is the true Yesod. There's also the Yesod of the head. Keter, Chokhmah, Binah are to be seen as one, and there is Yesod too. In the body are Hesed, Guvara, Tiferet, and you can see them as 10 Sfirot. Also, of course, there is Yesod too. In a way, it is physical, and yet we aren't talking about the physical. At every level, there is zivug. When we talk about the head, about Keter, Chokhmah, Binah, and the last one, Malchut, the mouth has zivug also. Here is the first reflection of the light, and from that point, the light can enter the body. This is what the woman did in our instance. She looked if he would match with her, and this happens in the head. I remember that I told my daughter when she was 14 to be careful even with kisses. Her reaction was, "But kisses, Dad. Nothing will happen." And of course, nothing happens when there is only a kiss. But a kiss is already a kind of zivug, and people who are very sensitive, a kiss is the beginning of the rest. Do you know what I mean? A kiss is a spiritual zivug, and here it is important to stay pure, clean. I only kissed him. But you have to know that lips are very sensitive. I understand that you don't understand this only an example, but be careful in what you do. Here the Zohar is talking about the crown of Yesod, about the 5 Hasidim. Later I will go deeper in this subject, but not now. There are people who study Kabbalah for many years and still don't understand the meaning of this. They translate the word mazal as stars, but mazal means also Yesod. Zal is a Hebrew word for drops. Drops of light are named mazal, coming from the word pouring. The lights we receive are as drops of the highlight, pouring over us. Each day we receive drops of light. He tells us the Zeir Anpin receives from the mazal on the day of Yom Kippur. Again, receives from the mazal benakeh on the day of Yom Kippur. I told you, Moshe received from the Creator 13 qualities of mercy. The last word was venakeh, with the meaning, and he purifies. We can talk about the general 13 sfirot, but there are also 13 sfirot in the head, and the lowest of the 13 in the head is named venakeh. It is a place in the head. On the lowest level of the head, there is a beard, just as a man has. On the forehead, there is no hair, but man can have a beard, and the comparison with the strength of the universe is the way of how the light enters. Of course, in the physical, there comes no light via a beard, but it has to all be in agreement with the above. Therefore, a Kabbalist has a beard, and not only because of tradition. At the level of the ears, you can see the 2 piyot. For me, it is easy to see them. Kel Rachum vechanun. There are 13 points, just as in acupuncture. An acupuncturist knows exactly the pathways of the energies. The same with the spiritual. He who is connected knows there are 13 points in the face of man, spiritual, not by flesh, but as you know, there is always the need of agreement. There are 13 points in the beard, not the physical beard. Ari forbids me to shave off my beard. What is the spiritual meaning of a beard? If the light comes from the hair, it means in length. That is the meaning of hair. Spiritual has meaning of thin canals where can come along the weak light. Why? Because they are thin canals. Beard is an analogy of thin canals, channels. The lower it can go, the better. But more about this later. Mazal in the head means Yesod in the head. In the beard there's also a point with the name of Mazal, and from this point Yesod receives. The true Yesod is the Mazal of Yesod. As you know, there is everything 10 Sfirot, so there is the Yesod of the head. Later I will give you more details, but for now is important the word Benakeh, and he purifies. Benakeh, and he purifies. This is the last word of the 13 qualities of mercy coming from the Creator. Simple. Read these words, and when you continue, there will come a moment that you recognize the words and understand them. For now it is important that you haven't any resistance to the inner can receive. What I want is that each of you who is reading this works on himself or herself. Listen from within means that you justify without understanding. I want you to say, I don't understand, but it will come later. And the Nukva receives from him, from Yesod, only the shining, not the real light, but the shining as a branch, not as a root, but as a branch of Ze'ah, Ze'er Anpin. Just be receptive and everything is okay. It is good if you don't understand the meaning, if you have to work hard to be open, to be receptive. It will be your merit. It's nice if there is understanding, but it is even better if you don't understand, and yet continue with the reading. The understanding will come after the experience. First the experience, then the understanding. And hence, Yehuda Ashlag says the main thing of the zivug is that it takes place on the Masach. And pull up 5 gurot, meaning or choser, the reflecting light. Who pull to him and dress the 5 Hasidim? The comparison is this world, as with the woman who gives permission to her man to enter her. The same with Nukva, who reflects the light wherein can come Hasidim. He doesn't use the name of Nukva. It all happens in Yesod. Yesod has 2 things. Yesod and Atirat Yesod, meaning the crown of Yesod. The crown of Yesod is as Nukva, and there is the reflection of the 5 Gurot. This doesn't take place in Nukva, but in the lowest part of the Yesod. In a way, the male Yesod has, and the male and the female. Again, in a way, the male Yesod has both the male and female. This is a huge secret. Here, he is teaching us that the Yesod has both. We know that man is created with the male and female side, but still there is no understanding of the true meaning of this. Of course, some people do understand, but the thing is, there are people who have the knowledge, but don't pass it on. These are the 5 lights, as it is written in the Torah, let there be light, etc. 5 times is mentioned the word light in the Torah, as stated above. Behold, the zivug was made in the Yesod of Ze'er Anpin, not between Ze'ah and Nukva, as we had learned previously. Don't think he has given us false information, for heaven's sake. No, now he gives us only more details. And he first did zivug, and then he passes it on to the Nukva. Yesod is part of Ze'er Anpin, the place where the zivug takes place. Ze'er Anpin is strength, and Yesod is embedded in him, as a place where he can make contact with his Nukva. First, he makes the zivug within himself, because Yesod of Ze'ah has 2 Yesods. There is the Yesod of the right, and there is the Yesod of the left. Or in other words, there is the higher and the lower Yesod. Important for you is to know that the crown of Yesod pulls the Gurot. Here is the response to the higher Yesod. And he gives the light Hasidim. This process is named in the Torah with the name seed. It is said in the Zohar that Ze'er Anpin, Ze'ah, gives his seed at Nukva. he gives this mixture of Hasidim and Gorot at his Nukva. First, the Zivug within himself, and later he passes it on to Nukva. Great things he tells us between. In this you see that everything is within one person. Man also has the male and female in his Yesod. One gives Hasidim, the male part of Yesod, and one reflects the light, the female part of Yesod. And this is what he wants us to hear. And this seed, which are 5 Hasidim and 5 Gorot, is in the word Brit, covenant, really. The covenant Brit is Yesod. As well, 5 Hasidim as 5 Gorot are in Yesod, and Yesod passes them on to the Nukva. This mixture of 5 Hasidim and 5 Gorot is named seed, Zerah. Now you know where the Torah is talking about. When you read, for instance, seed-bearing trees, etc., Yesod has both of them. The Torah also used the words as godly, a person who has the fruit of God. No, now you know what is meant, namely, this person has both, the male part and the female part in the seed. This is someone who shows mercy, can have love for any being, meaning this person has development within him, the mixture of the male and female seed. We are finished. It was not an easy lesson, but it is done. I never thought I could speak these words, but with the help from above, you see, much is possible. Until next time, be well.